All right, everybody, one more tight end video, one more video to take a look at these draft prospects. Not to say that we're going to look at every single one because we don't have that kind of time. We don't have that kind of manpower. We don't have those resources. But we are going to take a look at the ones that I think are most likely to be drafted in the upcoming 2024 draft. So let's get through these last three here, starting with Tip Reiman of Illinois, the Fighting Illini. This guy put on a little bit of a show at the combine, and I think moved himself into some potentially very strong, very good territory as somebody who might get drafted much higher than initially anticipated. This guy's going to go up some draft boards very quickly here. 22 years old when the season starts, still nice and young. 6'5", 271 pounds. So the dude's big. The dude is big. The dude is, I think, the biggest tight end we got. This guy has some Darnell Washington size. 32 and 7/8 inch arms, 10.5 inch hands. So he's a specimen, and that would all be well and good. But he also tested very well. 4.64 40. That's I think that's basically what Darnell did last year. 78th percentile, insanely good 10-yard split. 155 is crazy for a guy who's 270 pounds. His vertical was just okay, but his broad was really nice. 10 foot 1 inch. 702 three cone is very, very good for a guy carrying that much weight. His 20-yard shuttle, 426, great. And he cranked out 28 bench press reps, which is in the 95th percentile for tight ends. So Tip Reiman, he's bringing the size, he's bringing the explosiveness, he's bringing the speed, he's bringing the change of direction, he's bringing the strength. He's got a lot. He's got a lot. You just have to be willing to work through the fact that he didn't produce very much in college for some reason. In fact, the only major big board I found that has him getting drafted at all was PFF. CBS has him going undrafted. The aggregate has him going in like the 5th round. But overall, this guy hasn't gotten a lot of attention yet. That's probably about to change. He's got 38 catches over his last 25 games for less than 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. So the production isn't really there. But he's a phenomenal athlete for his size. He was a team captain for the Fighting Illini. Extremely strong. He will be a great inline blocker in the NFL for sure. He's got a big catch radius. His arms and his height all combine for him to be able to bring in pretty much everything that comes his way. When he gets the ball in his hands, he can run people over to get extra yards, runs with power, runs like Mike Allstott. Definitely got a lot going on in that area. So Tip Reiman, I'm not saying he's Darnell, but he has a chance to ascend in the draft very quickly here, kind of like Darnell did, because of these insanely good measurables. Now, I don't know if these testing numbers have shown up on the field the way that you would like. Like, these testing numbers tell me he's fast, he's quick, he's explosive, he changes direction really well, he's strong. I don't feel like I've seen that as much as I would like on the field when you watch the tape. It just kind of feels like he does look like a guy who's 270 pounds. So I would have liked to have seen more from him in college. And if I get him, I'm going to hope that the athletic ability shows up in a way that it just didn't in college. He's not a great route runner. He's going to have to improve his technique as a blocker to get better. Right now, he just wins on strength. He's going to have to improve things like hand placement and footwork. He's got a low ceiling as a pass catcher potentially. I kind of feel like that even though his testing numbers are good, I think his ceiling as a pass catcher is kind of low because of the lack of refinement in his game, and it might just be a little too late to get it to come all out. But he's got some tempting potential. He's a very fun player. This one's really hard, right? I don't feel like this guy's ever going to be a great pass catcher or even a really good pass catcher, but maybe he can be decent, and I think he'll be a great blocker. And I guess that might be enough for me to look at starting on day 3, like round 4 and on. But I don't want to fall for this fool's gold. This strikes me as a little bit like, oh, it's trying to trick you into thinking he's going to be some amazing pass catcher in the NFL when in reality he's just never going to get there. So, tough one. But I'll probably be able to talk myself into him in the 4th round and on. Tanner McLaughlin, next tight end here, Arizona, 24 years old. Good size, 6'5", 244 pounds, kind of short arms, 31 and 5/8, 9 and 3/8 inch hands. So the size is not really where you'd want it to be, but he does have the height. And he had a good combine. Ran fast, 4.61, works. 158, 10-yard split, that works. 35-inch vert, good. 9 foot 9-inch broad's okay. So he's a pretty good athlete. And the production over the last 2 years at Arizona has been good. ESPN actually has him almost in their top 100. Mock Draft Database has him going in the 7th round. I don't think ESPN's right here, by the way. I'm sure Tanner's not going to go in the top 120 or anything like that. But the Mock Draft Database does have him getting drafted, and I suspect that he will be drafted. Like I said, over the last 2 years, he's played in 25 games, has almost 80 catches, over 1,000 yards, or almost 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, pretty good. Surprisingly good blocker as well. He's a little bit on the lighter side. He doesn't have long arms, but he is a surprisingly capable blocker. He will have to improve in some areas to improve his consistency. But if you watch like a highlight reel of Tanner McLachlan blocks, you're going to see some really good stuff, and it's going to make you think he has potential. His testing numbers indicated his speed and acceleration that we didn't know he had. He's got great ball skills, great at going up to get balls that are a little behind him, great at using his catch radius, even though it's not as big as you would expect based on his height because of his short arms. He's somebody who's really good at adjusting to the ball. He works hard after the catch to make things happen, has a lot of moves in the open field to continue to get yards even after he's got the ball. High motor player. He's good in traffic, good at bringing down contested catches, was productive in college. The issue that he has is mostly consistency. He doesn't consistently block well. It's mostly just highlights. And he's not going to be strong enough to truly play inline from down to down, I don't think. I don't think he's going to be a very good inline blocker overall because he's just not strong enough. His testing numbers didn't really show up on the field. Like, he was productive at Arizona, but he didn't look like a guy who was running a 4.6 140 and a 1.58 10-yard split. So the testing numbers might be a little fool's gold. The route running is a little bit questionable as well. So to me, this is probably a guy who's not going to be able to ever live up to the expectations that his tape creates. I'm sorry, his testing creates. The testing tells one story, the tape tells a little bit of a different one. I could see him become a tight end 3 in the NFL, but that's about it. I don't think he'll ever be a good enough blocker, and I don't think he's a good enough route runner. If he refines that part in his game, maybe, but I think it's unlikely. So that's Tanner McLachlan. Second to last tight end here. Doesn't really strike me as appealing until the 7th round. I don't know. I'm just not feeling it with him. Didn't like the tape that much. Last guy will be Devin Culp, local one. University of Washington. Could not find his age, but I did find how undersized he is to be a tight end in the NFL. 6'3", 231 pounds. That's tough. That's Jacob Hollister territory. He's got 32 and 7/8 inch arms. That's good. Long arms. Small hands, though, 9 1/4 inches. And this guy got a lot of attention at the combine because of his 40 time. 4.47 40, 97th percentile, 1.55 10-yard split, 91st percentile, which is great. But really, when you think about it, if you're going to be 6'3", 231 pounds, you better be running a 4.47. So while it's nice, at the same time, that was like the bare minimum that he had to do. One big board has him getting drafted. ESPN has him in like the 6th. The mock draft database has him not getting drafted by almost 100 ranks. And I don't think Devin Culp will get drafted, to be clear. I doubt it. Maybe some team falls in love with the 40 time and they take a 7th round flyer on him. I can't see anything more than that. Averaged about 1 catch a game last year, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. Year before, he was actually much more productive. He averaged over 2 catches a game and had 1 touchdown, 226 yards. So obviously, he was working with a lot of players around him at Washington. I still don't see it. Like, this is not his fault. The 16 catches in 15 games is not his fault. He's playing with Odunze and McMillan and Polk, and he's even got another tight end who might be just as good as him and Jack Westover. But Culp, like, he's got great speed, right? He's obviously got elite tight end speed. We saw that at the combine. That's going to get some people's attention. He's got a great highlight reel of awesome catches. Like, if you look at a Devin Culp highlight reel, even though he didn't make that many catches in his career, you're going to see some great ball skills. He's a pretty good blocker in space as like a lead blocker or a pull blocker. And obviously, his production is not where it should be because of the receiver talent around him. That was just tough luck on his part, kind of. But he's just way too small for me to believe this is going to work well. He might even convert to wide receiver and become a big wide receiver instead of a small tight end. He's not going to be able to block inline. There's just no way a 231-pound tight end is going to be able to block inline. I don't buy it. He does have a lot of drops. So he's one of these guys who has a lot of like great catches and then he drops easy catches. Like one thing that would happen with Penix, and obviously I saw this plenty because I watched every UW game. Penix would fire in like a fastball and Culp couldn't bring it in. Like he wasn't very good at catching those fastballs, but he could go catch like a ball in double coverage going up between two defenders and falling out of bounds. He could do that. The routine catches were tough. And also, he doesn't have the route running ability that I think you're going to look for here. His change of direction is pretty lackluster, which is why he's mostly just a straight line guy. So I don't think that Culp is going to be able to make it in the NFL. I can see him maybe converting to a wide receiver, but I don't see him as anything more than a UDFA. It's such an unknown. The only thing he really has going for him is speed and some ball skill stuff, but I don't think that's enough to actually spend a pick on. I don't. Maybe in the 7th round you could talk me into it, but UDFA target for me. Same with his teammate, by the way, Westover. And that's all the tight ends we're going to look at this year for the draft stuff. If we visit with a tight end that I didn't look at, I'll probably loop back around at some point and look at him. But for the moment, that is all the tight end stuff. So this video was Culp, Mclachlan, and Reiman. So let me know what you think of those guys. Let me know if any of that stands out to you. Let me know if you disagree with any of my takes. I'll see you guys soon. Go Hawks. Tomorrow we were moving on to another position.